The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. W's products are made in the USA in an FDA inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom made by W, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. W's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/discount/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code MrTipton33 and save today. W Energy, be better. Are you a fellow car guy? I have a 2008 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and nothing makes me happier in that car than when it's nice and clean. And you know who helps me get there? RevAutoCarCare.com. They help me get that pony looking as nice and shiny and ready for any of the car meetups that are all around the great city of El Paso. Spoil your car and go to RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton and view all the inventory they have and find out what works for you to help make your ride shine. RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 at checkout to save 15%. We all know there's hundreds of betting sites out there, but don't be fooled. Some sites are legal in some states only. Some sites pay in Bitcoin, and some sites have even been hacked. BetUS, however, has been in business for over 30 years. Future bets are paying out in the thousands, and if you act right now, you can still bet on the biggest games in sports. Visit BetUS.com, or you can click the link at nessp.info. BetUS, check it out and bet responsibly. It is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Mike Tipton hanging out with you here on a Wednesday morning. Shout out to everyone that is tuned in right now. We are live on X, on YouTube, and of course on Facebook. Seem to still have issues with the Roku side, so we'll see how that goes. I was told that it's not a me problem, it's a them problem. Feels like every single way you break up with somebody. Maybe that's what happened, guys. I don't know, but we'll figure it all out as we continue to move on here with the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. Remember, we're brought to you by W Energy and, of course, our friends over at RevAutoCarCare.com. But I want to give a shout out to a new group of friends that we have joining us here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton. I will change the screen right there so that way we can see it. It's my friends over at I Got a Buddy. You see, they got the shirt right there. I Got a Buddy. This is a shirt that they made specifically for me. I got a buddy who does a podcast in his basement. We all know someone that does a podcast. Why not make fun of them a little bit? We all got a buddy, right? They also made a couple of shirts for me. I got a buddy from just the tip of Texas. I will be wearing that shirt a little bit later on as well. Shout out to them. They sent me a bunch of swag. I got the coffee cup. This cup was helping me get through. As y'all hear, I sound a little different now. I sound much better. It helped me get through the cold that I had with the amount of tea and everything that I had to drink through it. Go check out my social media pages. I got it up in my link tree, igotabuddy.com. Use promo code Tipton Sports. Save up to 10% on your order. Awesome, awesome shirts. I believe they said over 65,000 different prints that they've made. So I'm looking forward to going through all the ones they have. They've got a whole bunch of satire. It's funny stuff. It's funny stuff, guys. Don't take yourself too damn seriously. igotabuddy.com. Check out the stuff they've got. Use promo code Tipton Sports and save up to 10%. Shout out. Cheers. I got a buddy. He's helping me get through this day because medication's keeping your boy super tired recently. All right, so there we go. What could have possibly happened yesterday in the world of sports that would have my attention at this exact moment? The San Antonio Spurs lost to the New Orleans Pelicans. So, I was kind of expecting that. San Antonio, after losing Victor Wembanyama, not going to be that great of a team. Real possibility San Antonio falls a little bit. They might be able to draft Cooper Flagg, which would be pretty awesome if we can work that out for the San Antonio Spurs. Different landing spots for different free agent quarterbacks. We can talk about that a little bit later. I'm just trying to think of what could have happened yesterday that would have had people's attention long enough. Like was there a game yesterday that was anticipated? Luka Doncic taking on the Dallas Mavericks for the first time after he was traded. Is there going to be a level of revenge? What kind of revenge can be out there for Luka Doncic? Luka and the Lakers take on the Dallas Mavericks yesterday. The Lakers get the win, 107-99. Dallas, not really that great. Obviously, they're missing Anthony Davis. Augustine saying, so you're blessing us with your presence? Of course I am. I've always said it. My presence is a present. So there you go. You're lucky to have me in your life, Augustine. That actually reminds me. I got to email something to myself that I made specifically for you, Augustine. Specifically for you. I put all of the resources that we have here at Tipton Sports, which is basically me, put all of the resources together to be able to create this one little thing for you, Augustine. I just totally forgot to email it to myself. So I've got to get that going for me. And clearly that's not working at the moment. All right. So we do it there. We'll do it this way. I am currently just stalling. Tommy Canazza saying, good morning, Tip. Good morning to you, Tommy. I hope that you are doing fantastic following yesterday's game as Luka Doncic and the Lakers, once again, they get a 107-99 win over the Dallas Mavericks. LeBron had himself a pretty good game, 27-12. Luka had himself a game. 19, 15, and 12. Luka getting himself the triple-double. Like, that to me makes me so happy because I love whenever players use a trade as motivation, as any way that they can to try to make it seem as though they've got, let me rephrase it. It's not necessarily that the player needs the motivation. I believe it's like the fans out there want the player to be motivated, right? Luka's a triple-double machine. We know that, right? Like, it's similar to Jokic. Like, their games are so similar. Just Jokic is a much bigger body loaf of bread than what Luka Doncic is. But Luka going out there getting 19, 15, and 12, man, if I'm a Mavericks fan, I'm despondent. Mainly because if Anthony, and again, that was a caveat, right? If Anthony Davis can stay healthy, maybe there's something there, right? If Anthony Davis could stay healthy, maybe we've got something we can work on. Anthony Davis unable to stay healthy, not in the game. Like that's kind of what I was looking forward to, right? It was like Luka with LA against AD and Dallas, and really wanting to see what AD would do against that weak front court that the LA Lakers have, right? Tommy Canazza says it right there, and I think that's just him trying to kind of talk himself into something. There we go. We'll do that. I'm trying to save this damn thing. It's becoming a nightmare doing all of this. Probably should have done it before the show, but there was some other conversations being had before the show got started. Tommy Canazza saying that's a bad game by Mavericks standards, or by Mavericks Luka standards. Just saying, right? Like when Luka was with the Mavs, it was much better than 15 or 19, 15, and 12. It would have been like 22, 15 and 12, right? Like, I think that's what it would have been, right? Like, he's saying more points would have been scored. Why was LeBron hogging the ball the whole time, taken away from the magic that is Luka Doncic? And I kind of agree, right? Like, I think the game left a lot to be desired, and I didn't watch the game. I was doing something else yesterday. I was with the El Paso Chihuahuas and the El Paso Locomotive. They had like a food tasting thing, and it was super cool to be a part of that. And that's where I said, okay, if I got a little bit of time, I can create this. Agus Ferratu. This is what I see every time Augustine asks if anyone that watches the show is hot. This is exactly what I see, Augustine, every single time. Whenever you're like, "Oh, is this person hot?" as we're doing a show, I'll be like, "Okay, well, those that don't know, Nosferatu, he was out there looking for love. That's just all Augustine's doing too. He's just out there looking for love." Augustine, a gentleman from the 1600s, in every sense of the way. August Ferratu. It looks terrible, but I figured that the cheesier it looks, the better, right? Like that's just got to be the way it goes. Augustine, I appreciate you having a sense of humor and being a part of all of the nonsense it is that I do. I will say this. Yesterday it was pretty cool. Whenever I miss a show to get a couple of messages from y'all. I mean, you look good for 500. Like you genuinely do. Terrible for 400, but you look amazing for 500. But it was cool yesterday. Again, I am on a journey of um I like self-healing, right? Like I don't want to sound like one of those nerds that, oh my God, everything was broken in my life. No, right? Like just there's a ton of physical pain, there's a ton of mental stuff that I got to deal with. Being diagnosed with manic depressive bipolar 1 and PTSD and all that stuff, right? Along with just again all the physical pain from all the bull crap I put my body through in the past, right? So I am going through a journey of trying to like heal myself. And Monday night, for the first time, I was like, I'm going to take these mood stabilizers that they give me. I got really high highs, really low lows. This is going to bring it to the middle, right? While also trying to get used to doing a CPAP machine. And you talk about a nightmare scenario. Your boy didn't actually fall asleep until about 6 a.m. And I could not keep my eyes open past 6 a.m. I was walking with my kids to school, dropping them off. And I mean, I could not walk a straight line. I was almost like I was drunk. And I ain't never been that drunk before. And it was just one of those things where I made the decision like, look, I cannot do a show right now. I would not be able to focus. The spaceship that I've got to work with right here would not be able to do what I needed to do. So I just need to take my loss. No show yesterday. And after I announced that, like I get a couple of messages from people, and then Augustine sends me a message on WhatsApp as well. And it was just one of those things of like, okay, like it was awesome to see whenever I don't do a show, the amount of people that are like, you know what? I wonder if that dude's all right. So I appreciate y'all checking up on me and dealing with all the nonsense that this is, as I'm trying, actively trying to make sure that I can be a better version of myself moving forward. Tommy Canazza saying, I hated seeing Luka play for the Lakers last night. I haven't watched any Mavs games since the trade, other than the first one that AD played. I almost cried last night, Tip. Woof. Man. I was doing fine. Like everything was good. And I start talking, and then all of a sudden everything starts coming back up again. Augustine saying, I age like wine, you have like milk. I age like milk, basically. I age like a banana, right? Like I'm just bruised and gooey. We're not on Roku, so I guess I could say that, right? Augustine saying you're like a bad habit. I am like the worst habit. What do you mean a bad habit? I am the worst type of habit. And then Tommy saying, I hope all is well, Tip. I'm getting there, my guy. That's all we can do. One step at a time. Get there, get there, get there. As long as we have the goal on what it is that we want to do. Now, you're talking about almost crying last night while you're watching Luka Doncic play for the LA Lakers. And Augustine asking, why aren't we on Roku? That is a wonderful question. I tried connecting today. They sent me a message on Monday being like, look, it ain't you, it's us. There's something wrong with what we're doing with Roku, so we've got to try to get this all figured out. I'll send them a message today. I said at the beginning of the show, right? Like, it's almost like one of those bad breakup lines. Like, all of us, especially dudes, we've gone through one of those things where it's like, it ain't you, it's me. I've just got to go on finding a way to be better for myself. And as guys, we're like, oh, okay, of course, I don't understand. Oh. Yeah, there it is. It's the you. It's not you. It's me. It ain't you. It's me. Augustine saying, so iHeart did buy them. I mean, maybe. I mean, it's starting to feel that way, right? Age like a nice bourbon. I don't know about all that. I age like a soda. I age like a Pepsi. That's the way I age. You pop the seal, you better drink it that day, because if not, you're done. Done. That's how I age. I age like carbonation. But I was thinking about this, right? Like, we all have those instances as sports fans of whenever our favorite team or one of our favorite teams trades away a player, and then we've got to watch these players be great with other teams, right? Like with me this year, it's going to be the Yankees not being able to re-sign Juan Soto. So now I get to watch Juan Soto hit massive bombs in Queens instead of the Bronx, right? Like, now he's with the Mets. So the Yankees not having Juan Soto hurts me as a Yankees fan. Emmitt Smith, right, wearing the Arizona Cardinals jersey, like, it just looks weird, right? The difference with those, and maybe baseball's just a little bit Augustine saying, I once told a girl that it was her. She was livid and confused. I think that's what we're gonna have to do, right? We're like, just come up with our favorite breakup lines. And I'm the type of person too, like, if you tell me, like, look, we're done, then we're done. Right? Like, maybe I will. I don't know, dude. Like, you tell me we're done, we're done. Like, I I've not been one of these people that pays attention a lot to, like, the astrology things, but I've been told that I'm like a 100% Aquarius, which I guess I am, no matter what, right? I was born during Aquarius, so I'm 100% Aquarius. But it's along the lines of, like, there's a thing that like, whenever you're done with Aquarius, Aquarius is done with you, type thing, right? Like, it's like, it ain't you, it's me. I'll be like, okay, cool, I'm good with that. It is, if it is me, then you're missing out on one badass person. Like, that's simple, right? Tommy telling Augustine not to lie about the about breaking up with a girl. I'm a firm believer that Ogsferatu doesn't break up with anybody. Ogsferatu is out there just looking for love. He's been looking for love in all the wrong places. Augusferatu, one of my favorite characters of all time. Oh, I have to send that video. Jesus Christ, guys. I got back from walking the boys to school, was trying to get everything ready that I needed to do, wound up getting messages from potential sponsors. I'm going to have another sponsor coming up. It is called Cleverman. It's for male facial grooming, not just Happy Nuts for downstairs, but now we're going to have male facial grooming, shampoos, beard dyes, and stuff like that as well. I'll leave it up to y'all because I've always said, like, I'm not going to do the beard dye thing, right? Like, I've got the white hairs in the beard, but I also know content. And there's a part of me that says maybe I dye my beard just like hardcore wrestlers, like how they used to do back in the day where they go like super jet black, like the Hulk Hogan, right? Like I'll do all this super black and then like just have the blonde, what is that, like a goatee style? What would that be? Like just a mustache, but not like the chin part, like a Fu Manchu. I don't know, right? But like I'll do that, just all jet black here with like blonde that goes around, and I'll just rock that for a couple of weeks because if it's beard dye, it's beard dye. But yeah, Clever Man, they're going to be joining us as a sponsor here on the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton moving forward in a couple of weeks as well. As a matter of fact, I believe it's next week because I should be getting my shipment in on the 3rd. So I'm looking forward to that. And I was going to play like a new Meat Slinger commercial. The Meat Slinger, it's coming back. We're working on getting the Meat Slinger to come back, guys. We're going to be slinging that meat, baby. I'm so glad we're not on Roku because that would be such an inside joke. I don't even know how many of you that are watching right now, whether Tommy, I think Tommy would know. Augustine, I think you would know. Destiny, obviously you know. But like, how many other people out there would genuinely know what the hell the Meat Slinger is? We're not on Roku, so like I feel a little more loose today. Like I don't have to be so buttoned up and professional and talk like this. Hey, everybody, how's it going? I can just do me. Maybe I add a little bit of bourbon to my coffee. I got a buddy that's a drunkard. New shirt. I got a buddy that takes day drinking too seriously. I do feel like an alcoholic at times because it's right here next to my next to me, like arm length away. You saw the baseball one, and then you got this one, right? Like maybe we just do that. Self-employed. I ain't got shit else to do today. Why not? Augustine saying yes, Mr. Rogers. I know. I'm 100% Mr. Rogers. Dusty saying, oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. The greatest character. Maybe that's what I got to do real quick. Let me. Actually, I loaded it up onto, or I created it on this computer, I think. So let me see what I can do to bring it up. We'll close that out. We'll come here. We'll do that. This is riveting audio. Oh, here we go. I just have to hope that it's going to be like the right size. Let's see. Let's see how it goes, guys. Nope.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Nope. The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is. Nope, that didn't work. So now I got to do this. I wonder if it's going to let me preview it. Yeah, there we go. The hell is this all about? I don't like the way that looks. Oh well, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it. All right, let's see how it looks. Rain or shine, dry or sleet, when the city needs me, I'm slinging that meat. I just don't like the aspect ratio. I just do not like the aspect ratio. I gotta work on that. So that was one of the ones that I was gonna bring up here and play for us as well. And then, of course, I was going to have a video from yesterday. If you didn't see on my social media, I put out a video yesterday out there with all the amazing food that the El Paso Chihuahuas had. Shout out to Brandon the Iceman Cone. I can always rely on Brandon the Iceman Cone to let me know whenever food is going to be involved, because I thought the event that I signed up for was on March 8th. Apparently on March 8th, your boy signed up for a media soccer match that I thought was going to be followed by food, which was not the case. There's going to be the media soccer match with the El Paso Locomotive on March 8th at 2 o'clock, I believe, on the west side fields where the Locomotive practice. And the food event was yesterday. And I get a message from Brandon the Iceman Cone saying, hey, buddy, are you going to be attending the event tonight? And I thought to myself, this guy is drunk. He must just be hungry. There's no way that the event is tonight. I go back, I look at the email, I'm like, holy shit, the event is tonight. So I last second get ready, go up there, do my thing, check out the amazing food that they've got at Southwest University Park. And they had what they called a Memphis dog. And it has like coleslaw on it and like just, brisket and a bunch of other stuff like that that goes along with it. And it was one of the most amazing hot dogs I'd ever put in my mouth. And I took one of she's going to be an intern for my company. She is going to be taking photos of the El Paso Chihuahuas as the season goes along. Her name is Ada. She's a former student of mine last year with El Dorado High School. And she's taking pictures and she comes over to me with this like just ghost white face. I'm like, holy shit, what happened, right? And she's like, Mr. Tipton, which is also weird to hear someone say because I don't feel like I'm a Mr. Tipton. She says, I just heard a conversation I shouldn't have heard. And I thought to myself, Jesus Christ, I just remembered I'm introducing this female child to what media is in general, right? And what was said was, and what she told me she heard was they were talking about the hot dogs. And someone said, man, look at the girth of that hot dog. And I know girth. That sounds like something Augustine would say. Auguste Ferratu would say, I know girth. And I can only imagine what it was like for this 18-year-old girl to hear, I know girth. In that type of setting. Because I told her, you are representing me, you are representing my company, we have to present ourselves in a certain way. I'm the only one that gets to be an asshole with my company, right? Like, Brandon can't do it, Destiny can't do it, Jericho, Gender, ain't no one else but me going to be the asshole when it comes to my company, right? And then I get, I know girth. Augustine saying, I am girth. I feel like that needs to find a way into one of the Meat Slinger promos. We're going to have to workshop this one together, guys. We're going to find a way to get that into the Meat Slinger promos. Crazy how it went from we were talking about Luka to talking about medication to going back to talking about Luka to now talking about girth. I almost got through that without laughing. And because I laughed, I wound up coughing like a fucking ancient ass old man. Ooh, probably shouldn't have put that much bourbon in there. Holy hell. I'm joking. I didn't put bourbon in it. It was just for the laughs. Okay, so Luka played yesterday. Fun times. I was watching or looking at some of the news that were out there. The Memphis Grizzlies and the Phoenix Suns put up a combined 299 points. The Grizzlies get themselves a 151-148 win over the Phoenix Suns. And I sit here and I think to myself, that's a fun game. And I know a ton of people are going to be out there like, oh, that's way too much offense. 151 to 148. It went to overtime, so I guess maybe that kind of skews the scoring a little bit, but that's a fun effing game. And I know that the issue people have had with basketball is there's too much scoring. I feel like the people that complain about the amount of scoring that happens in the NBA, like, oh, they score too much. There's too much points being scored. I can't believe they're scoring all this much. Are the guys that are the effing virgins at the bar that can't get a damn date and can't get someone to dance with them, right? Oh, I hope Brandon's not watching right now because I'm about to make fun of him. And Brandon, if you are watching, you understand why this would be funny to me. Augustine saying Luka is girth. That boy doesn't say no to a hot dog. He doesn't. Jokic doesn't. None of them say no to a hot dog. Hell, I'm a big fat guy. I don't say no to a hot dog. The amount of hot dogs I ate yesterday with the El Paso Chihuahuas and El Paso Locomotive at Southwest University Park was out. Like, man, they had a what was a flaming hot Cheeto dog. I ate a little bit of that. They had the carne asada dog, which was absolutely amazing. Like, I mean, you go to a baseball stadium, you're expecting some hot dogs, right? And the one thing I knew I was gonna get, I was gonna wrap my mouth. I almost went through it. Let me do that again. I got to do this like wrestling promo, right? And the one thing I did, brother, is I grabbed that hot dog and I wrapped my mouth around that girthy. God damn it, I almost did it. I almost did it. I'm going to have to work on that. Got to work on my acting skills. Got to be able to get that in. Augustine saying it's like they came from a third world country. Gary Bryant saying, what's good, Tip? Luka is a heavyweight champion. Also saying to Tommy Canonso, what's good, bro? Loving the YouTube section. You guys are some of my favorite part of the show. I don't want to say like listeners or viewers or anything like that. You guys are just a part of the show. It's hard to do this without the back and forth that we do. Now it's got me thinking, right? Like just fat basketball players, like Shaq, right? Shaq in his prime, even though he was a big fat guy, was like super duper athletic. But then you had guys like Tractor Trailer who had like a year or two, right? Like Robert Tractor Trailer. If you know who Robert Tractor Trailer is, Oliver Miller, there we go. Man, fat guys in basketball is always a fun thing to see. Oh, I want to say Mateen Cleaves. Was Mateen Cleaves fat? Is that even his name? Like, from Michigan State. I'm trying to remember. He was a point guard for Michigan State. Saying back and forth and hot dogs isn't a good idea. I don't know how you eat your hot dogs, but there is no back and forth as I eat my hot dogs. I just open my mouth and shove them on down, brother. I don't even chew. It's like a duck. I just swallow and I'm good. I'm not going to regret that being on the internet. Gary Bryant saying, yup, I remember Tractor Trailer. I remember watching like the And One mixtape tour, and they had a guy named Cadillac. That big fat guy, right? Khalid El Amin was a fat point guard. Yeah, he was. Oh man, this is. And then like you got Fat Lever, but I don't know if, or Fat Lever rather. I don't know if Fat Lever was an actual fat guy though. Like I can't remember whether or not just like the name Fat, nickname Fat. I wonder what was his real name. I'll look that up another time. What was Fat Lever's real name? Yeah. I love it. Anytime you get to see like a fat basketball player, like would Draymond Green be considered fat? Cadillac was Mark Jackson's bro, really? Wow, I didn't know that. Like genuine, actually, like his brother, like his bro, like a friend. Like I got to figure that one out because if he was Mark Jackson's brother, that would be pretty damn cool, man. I loved me some Mark Jackson as a kid. I thought Mark Jackson was like the man. I loved point guards. That's awesome. Saying yes, it was his brother, and then Lafayette, Fat Lever, man. I miss the days of names like that. Because I feel like if you name a kid, especially a boy, if you name a kid today Lafayette, they're getting their ass kicked, just left and right. They are catching so many hands, it's not even funny. Lafayette, Fat Lever. Yeah, I'm sticking with the nickname Fat. If my name is Lafayette, Fat. That's exactly where it's coming from. He was called Fat because of his first name. Yep, Lafayette, Fat. Had to be from Louisiana. I'm just making assumptions here. Had to be from Louisiana, the South, something like that. I don't know. Have there been other Lafayettes in sport? Like I'm sure there has been, but has there been like recently a Lafayette in sports? Once again, though, talking about the Memphis Grizzlies, dude, I am all over the place. I haven't had my W energy today, so I don't have the focus. I need y'all. I need y'all to help me out right now. I have this weird thing about drinking coffee and then drinking Tommy, that is such an inside joke. Yes. From the south side of El Paso, or the lower valley of El Paso, Lafayette. Oh, man, that was good. Augustine saying, did you say Lafayette yet? Yeah, Lafayette. Lafayette. I'm about to look that up. Let's see how many Lafayettes. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Let's see how close Pine Bluff, Arkansas is to Louisiana. riveting audio that we're doing today. Let's see. Where are we? There we go. There's Lafayette. Or not Lafayette. There's Pine Bluff. Doesn't seem to be very close. Or yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah, why not? We're kind of close, I guess, a little bit. Depend on what your definition of close is. Closer to Louisiana than El Paso is. I know that much. Okay, so the Memphis Grizzlies, they get 151 points. The Phoenix Suns, 148 yesterday, right? Jesse Carter saying Tipton ages like a mad cat smoking catnip out of a tiger's booty. Holy shit, dude. Came off the top rope with that one. I thought I was doing pretty well. I don't have no wrinkles. I'm looking okay, right? For 41 years old, I'd say I look all right. Right? There's a little bit of white in the beard, but that's just because I refuse to dye it unless I get paid to dye it, in which case, send me some money. I'll dye my beard. Oh, there we go. Glenn Davis. Baby Davis, man. Oh, that was a big fat guy. Isn't he in jail? Yeah, I think he's in jail. Shout out to Glenn Davis. Stealing from people. Insurance scams. But Jesse Carter coming after me off the top rope, aging like a mad cat smoking catnip out of a tiger's booty. I know that you are from, Virginia, the backwoods of Virginia and all that stuff, Jesse. Is that like a saying? I'm genuinely interested in this stuff, right? Because we've got a whole bunch of different sayings throughout the country. Would that be like an actual saying? Because I genuinely feel like that would be a pretty damn good saying to have. And saying, dude, you look like I'm in my 20s. I most definitely do not. I look good for 41. I look terrible for 39. I understand where my proverbial tipping point is. Again, aging like a banana. The outside just bruised and broken. The inside super gooey. You don't want it in your mouth. Maybe? I don't know. Question mark. Different sport, but the late Jared Lorenzen, the Pillsbury throw boy. Dude, that was one of my favorite. Oh, man. You made me happy there, Gary. Anytime I can get myself a Pillsbury throw boy reference, I am one of the happiest guys in the world, the hefty lefty, because me being left-handed, I love me a big fat lefty, right? I think I said it, what was it, last week? We were talking about how I became a Yankees fan, right? Left-handed, adopted, and then I just loved a big fat lefty, smoking a cigar, drinking bourbon, hitting fucking bombs, bro. We're not on Roku, so I get to say it today. Jesse Carter saying he still eats the brown bananas. Normally, if you mix them into a pancake, I'll do that. I just, it's a texture thing, right? I'm not going to eat one of those bruised up, completely brown bananas by itself. You got to mix it up into like a pancake, into something like that. Adrian Zamudio saying, good morning to you, my friend. Hope you're doing fantastic on this lovely Wednesday morning that we've got. Not a lot going on in the world of sports, guys. It's just not that way. So expect the next few shows, few months really, to just be, let's come on here. We're going to bullshit, have ourselves a good old time. If you're asking, Tip, how come you're not on Roku today? It might just be because we've come up with the it ain't you, It's me breakup line that they gave me, although I don't think it's a breakup line because we actually have a good relationship. So I think if they didn't want anything to do with your boy, they'd just be like, look, guy, we're moving on. And then it would be that simple, right? Adrian Zamudio saying he is tired. I get you, my guy. I 100% get you. And then Jesse Carter saying, I am textually active. The amount of jokes there are inappropriate even for me. And that's saying something. Roku broke up with Tip, guys. Oh, I need to have like the Boyz II Men song in the background. Although we've come to the end of the road. I hope not. Although, you know what? Let's see. November, December, January, February, most of February, we had like a 3.5 month relationship. I think, fuck, I'd call that great. That's a longer relationship than most people have. That's longer than any relationship that our guy August Ferratu has had in his 600 years. iHeartRadio called Roku. I knew it, man. I allowed y'all to get me into a point where, like, I was like, you know what? I haven't spoken about this in 4.5 years. I'll finally talk about it. And now look what happens. These are the repercussions. iHeart has gone out. Ooh, we can start that conspiracy theory. I'm a fan of a good conspiracy theory, right? You know how you always have that one friend who thinks that every car that's following him is following him, if that makes sense, right? Like, the FBI is wiretapping my phone because I'm that damn important. No, you're not. Like, first, we could say that. No, you're not. Right. So for me, I think I'll go with that one. Right. We can go with all the conspiracy theories. Shout out David Rodriguez. And I can just be like, look, not only is it the chemtrails, but it's iHeartMedia trying to mute and censor me as the individual that I am, because I wield so much power and strength in the El Paso podcast world. At one point in time, I had the #1 podcast for sports and recreation in Saudi Arabia. And ever since then, it's been downhill because iHeart is trying to censor me. The funny thing about that is at one point in time, for like 2 months, I did have the #1 podcast for sports and recreation in Saudi Arabia. And I'm assuming it's only because my friends must have been stationed there for that period of time and were listening to the podcast. Like, I feel like that's genuinely the only reason why. We got a Brian Scalabrine. He was a fat white guy, the white mamba. What about Matt Bonner? Was Matt Bonner kind of fat? You know, the Hoagie Hunter. I know he has a fat guy nickname, the Hoagie Hunter. He was always eating sandwiches and shit. Was he a fat guy? I don't know if that's necessarily a fat guy, though. But Brian Scalabrine, yeah. And one of my favorite things that I've ever seen, and I love whenever people do this, especially athletes, right? Where Brian Scalabrine, the white mamba, puts out on social media because he's getting all this hate from people that these guys could beat him. And he was like the last guy on the bench. And he is just working these dudes, right? It's a game, I want to say to 11 or 21, and he's just working these guys. He played 7 different dudes that were like, you know, I played in college and I can do that. I could have been Brian Scalabrine. And he waxes the floor with them. Only one of them was able to get a point off on Brian Scalabrine. That shows you the difference between the worst NBA player and just a regular guy like us. Jesse Carter saying he gave me a Bonner. That's so bad. I wish I had the loser game show sound, the dun 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 for that joke. I mean, I put it up there, so it's on me. But you know what? I got you, man. Okay, so over the last couple of days, we've been doing a thing where we've been talking about the needs of teams based in their division, right? We start with the AFC East, the NFC East. On Monday, it was the AFC North, talking about what the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers and the Ravens, what they need to do to get better, get over the hump, and maybe in the case of the Ravens, make it to the AFC Championship game, make it to the Super Bowl. Today, we're going to focus in on the NFC North. Augustine is like, what the hell is going on right here? Because now he's got a bonner. So in the NFC North, we had some pretty intriguing teams, right? Like this year, the NFC North was an absolute game changer, right? Like you had the Lions, the Bears, the Packers, and the Vikings. The Lions, Packers, and Vikings all making it to the playoffs, all of them having double-digit win seasons, right? Gary Bryant saying George Soros bought iHeart, so the conspiracy might be legit. Oh, no. Oh, no. I'm done for. They got a hold of... I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it. Okay, so because of that, you have three teams here drafting in the 20s and beyond, right? The Detroit Lions drafting at number 28, Minnesota at number 24, and the Green Bay Packers at number 23. The thing that makes this so interesting with them is that all four teams in the NFC North are within the top 13 in most available money in salary cap now. So that means the Green Bay Packers are the worst of those teams. They have $44.5 million that they can spend in free agency. Augustine's saying, say it. Say it. Okay, they got a hold of Fatty Diaz, and they were like, what about this Tipton guy that's now on Roku? And they were like, well, he's a huge piece of crap. And they believed that huge piece of crap, that I was a huge piece of crap, and maybe we both are just huge pieces of crap. I'm fine saying it. F them. But Green Bay has $44.5 million in salary cap space. Detroit has $49 million in salary cap space. Minnesota, $59 million in salary cap space. And the Chicago Bears, $75 million in available salary cap space. Now, obviously, out of those four teams, as we said, Detroit at 28, Minnesota at 24, Green Bay at 23. You have the outlier being the Chicago Bears, who are drafting number 10 overall. Gary Bryant saying Brian Scalabrine had the best quote ever, told a guy, I'm closer to LeBron in ability than you are to me. And the funny thing is he's right. Like he's genuinely right. Two craps equal diarrhea. I agree with you 100%. When you look at Detroit, I think the biggest question to Detroit isn't going to be talent, right? Like they're going to have enough money to re-sign, restructure deals, maybe keep the core of that team together. Maybe you address the defense, right? The defensive line, once Aiden Hutchinson went down, that was a little bit of an issue. So maybe that's what you address, but you're getting Aiden Hutchinson back next year, right? I know that there's been rumblings out there that Detroit is a front runner to get Myles Garrett, which would be amazing if they were actually able to do that. So you address the defense if you're Detroit. Maybe you address a little bit more on the offensive line, but Detroit's offensive line has been phenomenal. They have so much more depth than everyone else's offensive line is. So at Detroit, number 28, where they're drafting, yeah, like defensive line is where you got to go here. They have right now Nick Skywerton from Texas A&M as the guy that they would get. If I'm Detroit, yeah, that's exactly who I want. Maybe Derek Harmon, like if Skywerton's not there, maybe that's who you'll go after. If you don't have a guy that you think is the number one dude that you want to get as your defensive lineman, trade that pick away, right? But if I'm Detroit, I'm just focusing in on my defensive line. That's all I want right now, defensive line help. I love Detroit's all-around team. It's going to be the question for them. How do they bounce back after losing the amount of coaches they lost, right? You lose Ben Johnson. What is your offense going to look like? You lose Aaron Glenn. What is your defense going to look like? Those, to me, are the questions that need to be addressed by the Detroit Lions. Now, at number 24, when you look at the Minnesota Vikings, this is before the salary cap increase. So I believe the number that it's going to increase by is another 20 million. So then we just add this 20 million to what everyone else already has, which means the Chicago Bears are going to have upwards $95 million to play with the NFC North. Now, at number 24, you have the Minnesota Vikings. And we saw the issue the Minnesota Vikings had was along the offensive line. They have projections right now that the Minnesota Vikings are going to take an inside linebacker, Tyler Booker, out of Alabama. If I'm Minnesota, do you re-sign Sam Darnold? I think I'm doing the re-sign Sam Darnold. Maybe I sign Aaron Rodgers just to complete the whole Brett Favre circle. After, not before. So yeah, the numbers are after, or the numbers are before. It just hasn't reflected yet because I believe the deadline doesn't start until March 1st. Once that happens, then we'll have the increase. So that's actually, you know what, Gary, that's a great caveat. I need to make sure I mention that the next time, that this is before we have the additional $20 million in salary cap space. We'll see if it actually comes out to the full 20 million. I've heard rumblings out there. It might be anywhere between 17 to 18.5, which is still a lot, but we'll see what it actually turns into. If I'm the Minnesota Vikings, my biggest issue was the offensive line. I am drafting nothing but offensive line. I don't care about an inside linebacker. I don't care about defensive backs. I don't care about wide receivers. All I need is an offensive line, because my offensive line got absolutely worked by the LA Rams. Minnesota's flaw, even though they had such an amazing season last year, a 14-win season that doesn't win their division, their biggest flaw wasn't quarterback, not at least in my mind. Their biggest flaw was along the offensive line. So if I'm them, I'm looking nothing but offensive linemen. That's, again, like even if it's a project for the Minnesota Vikings, you have to have a warm body on that offensive line. That offensive line was so bad that you've got to have any hope there. Or unless you spend, you go into your, $44 million that you have in salary cap space, $59 million you have in salary cap space, and you go out and target some free agents against the offensive line, then maybe just then I start looking at maybe defensive talent. But doesn't matter who your damn quarterback is, if he has no time to throw, they're not going to be good. And especially if you are genuinely interested, as I've heard the rumblings out there, in re-signing either Sam Darnold or getting Aaron Rodgers, which just sounds crazy to me, you need to protect those guys. You definitely need to protect those guys, even if it's J.J. McCarthy. If you're just going to say, we're handing the reins off now to J.J. McCarthy, you got to keep that guy on his back, especially J.J. McCarthy, because as we saw in Michigan, he didn't throw the ball a whole lot. That was a run-first team. That's what Jim Harbaugh does, is run first. So if I'm Minnesota, focusing in on protecting my quarterback and my offensive line. Gary Bryant saying Minnesota needs offensive line help, secondary help, and depth on their D-line. The first thing there has got to be offensive line. Has to be offensive line. Augustine saying Kansas City will renew their line, and it wasn't on Darnold. It definitely was not on Sam Darnold. That loss, those last couple of losses, was just because Detroit and LA, again, the only losses that Minnesota had this season, even though it was 4, was to Detroit and LA in back-to-back games. I find that to be so crazy. Like, it's one of the craziest stats I've ever seen. You have 4 losses in the entire season, and it was to 2 teams back-to-back each time, just back-to-back. You got to help out that offensive line. The offensive line for Minnesota has to be paramount for them. The Green Bay Packers. Now, this is an interesting team to me because they're still such a young team, right? And it felt like somehow, some way they underachieved last year. They're going to be drafting number 23. Right now, the projection is that they have Jahadae Barron from Texas is going to be their pick. and cornerback. And I kind of like that pick because if you look at what they had, it was just kind of like a weak defense, right? There was injuries along the wide receiver core, which really hurt them towards the end of the season. You have a good running game with Josh Jacobs. You have a pretty good offensive line. I happen to like Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love's a really damn good player. So I'm saying, you know what? Yeah, I like the pick right there. Go out, help yourself out with some defensive back help, and that's really what you need. Augustine asking, is Love the answer? My question to you is this. What quarterback is available that's better than Jordan Love right now? Right? I don't think Jordan Love is a certified Hall of Famer yet. Like, he might turn into that. I just don't think he's a certified Hall of Famer at this exact moment. But I also don't think he's a bad quarterback, right? Like, I think he's in the top half of quarterbacks that are out there. He's got great arm talent. He's got great weapons around him. All you need is love. I'm glad that we were on the same things there. Aaron Rodgers is dead weight. He is finished. I agree with you on that. I also think, though, there's always that team that's willing to take a flyer on the old, out of shape, aged out quarterback that has a pedigree, right? Last year, it was the Pittsburgh Steelers. We all thought Russell Wilson was washed. He showed us, okay, I might not be able to cook you a 5-course meal, but I can make you a hot dog, a girthy one at that. That's what we call full circle moment right there. That's good writing. And then you have the Chicago Bears drafting in the number 10 spot. They have offensive line help. Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas is the guy that they have listed for him or for Chicago. If he's available, of course you take him. If he's not there, this is where I think it gets a little interesting. I know you have David Montgomery, but why not, if he's available, take Ashton Jeanty? You need to be able to help out Caleb Williams in any way possible. Having a dominant run game would be a way to help him out. We saw the way that helped out Justin Herbert, right? Justin Herbert, all the arm talent in the world. Jim Harbaugh goes down there. Looks like I had a stroke in the middle of the show. Jim Harbaugh goes down there, gives him a running game, gives him like a running scheme, turns him into a game manager, and he has one of the best seasons of his career, does Justin Herbert. I feel like that's what you have to do if you're Ben Johnson. You have to be able to establish the run so that everything doesn't land on Caleb Williams. Now, obviously, I'm a firm believer in you go out and you help the offensive line. But if you're going to have upwards $100 million in salary cap space available to you, why wouldn't you address the offensive line via free agency? And then you can draft young talent around you. I still think they need help at the wide receiver core. So if McMillan is there, maybe you go after McMillan. If Luther Burden is there, maybe you go after Luther Burden. Man, can you imagine Roma Dunze and Luther Burden on this? Oh my God, that'd be amazing talent with Cole Kmet or Cole Kmet being in the middle as like your safety valve. I think Caleb Williams has the arm talent. I genuinely do. I don't know if he cares about the game the way that like a Jaden Daniels does, but I know that he has the arm talent, and I know that he's good enough to make this a playoff team. Again, they were snake bitten, right? They lost a lot of one-score games last year. I think the Bears address the offensive line. If you do it in free agency, awesome. If you have the ability, because you address your offensive line in free agency, Ashton Jeanty or a wide receiver. That's what you really need to do to help out Caleb Williams. All right, y'all, I appreciate the love and the support. Maybe tomorrow we'll be back on Roku. I got to get on a phone call and figure out what the hell's going on here. I think I'm going to finally ask him. I'll be like, guys, are you breaking up with me? Oh, I could be insecure Tip. I'm never insecure Tip. I finally get to be insecure Tip. Please tell me what I did, and I promise I can be better. Just let me be better. Let me prove it to you. Roku, please. Let me prove it to you. Even I don't believe that. We'll see you all tomorrow.